For centuries, the British Empire was the most dominant global force. From its colonies in Asia and Africa to its influence over Europe, the empire was an unstoppable juggernaut. But today, Britain's position on the global stage is a shadow of its former self. And Brexit may very well have been the final nail in the coffin. The British Empire once controlled nearly a quarter of the world's land and population. It was said the sun never set on it. But like all empires, its decline was inevitable. The world wars crippled its economy and independence movements dismantled its colonies one by one. By the mid-20th century, Britain had transitioned from an empire to a key player in the Western Alliance, joining the European Economic Community in 1973. This was a critical moment. It wasn't just about economics, it symbolized Britain's acceptance of a new cooperative role in a post-imperial world. Fast forward to 2016, and Britain's relationship with Europe was upended. The Brexit referendum reflected deep divisions, a desire to take back control, reject perceived European overreach, and rekindle a sense of national sovereignty. But there was a problem. Many of the arguments for Brexit were steeped in nostalgia for Britain's imperial past. Phrases like global Britain suggested a return to a time when Britain led the world stage. In reality, Brexit highlighted just how much Britain's global influence had waned. Economically, Brexit was a self-inflicted wound. The promise of new trade deals to replace EU partnerships has largely fallen flat. British exports have suffered, investment has declined, and growth has stagnated. Meanwhile, countries like India and China, once colonies of the empire, now negotiate with Britain from a position of strength. And geopolitically, Britain's exit from the EU has reduced its influence in European decision-making. Instead of being a bridge between the US and Europe, it's increasingly isolated. Brexit also revealed something deeper, the end of British exceptionalism. For decades, Britain held on to the belief that it was special, a nation capable of punching above its weight. But in leaving the EU, Britain turned away from a union that amplified its voice. The Commonwealth, once seen as a soft power legacy of the empire, has not filled the gap. Countries like Canada and Australia are increasingly looking elsewhere, especially towards Asia, for trade and alliances. Meanwhile, the world has moved on. The EU has strengthened its position as a global bloc, and emerging powers like India and China dominate the economic landscape. The era of small, isolated nations leading the world is over. Brexit may have been driven by a longing for a past where Britain was a dominant power, but it instead cemented the reality the empire is well and truly over. Brexit wasn't just a political event, it was a symbolic one. It marked the final chapter in Britain's long journey from empire to island nation. But there's a lesson in this. Clinging to the past doesn't prepare a country for the future. The world is more interconnected than ever, and Britain's path forward will depend on cooperation, not isolation. The question now is, will the UK find a new role for itself, or will it continue to chase the ghosts of its empire? Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global history and politics.